In 1977, the first autofocus camera was released, the Konica C35 AF. Now, this is the second version of that camera, quite logically named the Konica C35 AF2. The differences between these cameras, well, at least according to the internet, they are mostly cosmetic, but I would not be surprised if there are some changes to the electronics as well. The autofocus system it uses is the Honeywell Visitronic, basically the first one there was, at least widely available in consumer cameras. And well, I have used one camera which has this system before, and my experience was not that good. It was the Yashica AF1, and about 30% of the shots or so were out of focus, so it's not really an acceptable rate. And the reason I got this camera, well, I happened to find it in a flea market. It was cheap, and it was the, well, second version of the first autofocus camera, so yeah, I could not resist. And also it had a half-shot roll of film in it, so that's always an added bonus. Now, unfortunately, nothing came out of that film. I finished the roll and developed it, but yeah, it was kind of blank, just some faint shots of the ones I had done. So yeah, well, you're not always so lucky when it comes to that. But after having shot one fresh roll of film in this camera, I was actually quite happy with the results. I mean, there were some shots out of focus, about 10% or so, but it's not too bad. It's an acceptable rate for the first generation autofocus. So I don't know if they have managed to integrate the system better into this camera, or if my Yashica was a faulty camera or something. I really don't know which one is better. I only have shot one roll in each camera, so I guess the experience can vary quite a lot there. So let's have a closer look at the Konica C35 AF2. The first thing you notice is probably this quite nice lens hood. It also covers the viewfinder, so you cannot forget the lens hood on by mistake. That's quite a nice feature. Well, first of all, you can start with the batteries, because this camera does not work without batteries, and it uses two AA batteries, so it's very standard in that way and good. No weird batteries like some cameras use. When we have the batteries inside, we can check that it works. There's also a battery check function. If the flash ready light takes more than 30 seconds to turn on, you should change the batteries. And the flash is activated by this button here. If you press it, it should jump up. So it's quite good. One feature I like about this camera, that you can choose whether you want to have the flash on or not. I mean, it's not on by default when you start the camera, like they usually are on the later pocket cameras. The ISO is set with this wheel here, and it goes from 50 to 400. And this means you can also do some manual exposure compensation. The exposure is automatic and it doesn't tell you what settings it uses, but at least we know that the lens is 38mm f2.8 Konica hexagon lens, and it's quite good actually. For the autofocus, the sensors are here, and it's good to keep this clean, make sure they're not dirty. And on the side here we have the, I don't know, let's call it the autofocus indicator. So after you take your shot, this needle, it moves to where the lens has focused. So when you move the film forward, this needle also moves down. When you fire, it will move to where the camera has focused. So it's a good way to know if it focused where you wanted it to focus. For example, if something is very far away, it's fine if it is on the infinity, and the closest it can focus is 1.1 meters. So, well, these don't actually tell how far away they are, so it could have been good with like some symbols or something for it. And then on the front of the lens, we still have the self-timer, this thing here. And it's the old type, which uses a cogwheel mechanism to move it forwards, and not the electronic timers that you have on newer cameras. In the viewfinder, there's a small LED which will be activated if the camera will underexpose. So it's a reminder to open the flash, basically. Other than that, you have the framing lines in the viewfinder, and also parallax correction lines. And in the middle, there is the autofocus point. And unfortunately, there is no like half press autofocus. It only focuses when you press this fully. So you cannot like reframe your shot. So yeah, that's one minus about the camera. So the film advance is manual, and also the rewind is manual, which I actually like, since then you don't have any noisy motors that move around when you are taking your pictures or rewinding the film. Inside it looks like a standard 35mm compact. Nothing strange about loading film into it. It's quite usual way, as well as rewinding and everything. The rewind button exists down here. Right, so that's enough about the camera. Well, you have a tripod mount also. That's also a nice feature. Not all compacts have tripod mounts. But yeah, quite a nice old 70s style compact camera. Even though it was released in 1980, but yeah, the technology is pretty much late 1970s. Let's have a look at some photos. I shot one roll of Fomapan 100 and I developed it in Hadox FX39 II. And I have to say that I'm quite happy with the photos. I mean, the technical quality is quite good. The exposures are, I mean, they are not no weird exposures, nothing very under or overexposed. So at least that part of the camera works great. And as I mentioned, only a few are out of focus. Yeah, and the quality of the lens looked quite good. I mean, I actually ended up liking this camera quite a lot. So from my experience of shooting one roll, I can say that the camera it's not bad at all. I mean, I ended up liking the results and it's quite fun to use. And one thing I like about it is that it has the manual film advance. I don't really like the noisy compacts, which like make a lot of noise when you take a picture and then they make a lot of noise when you rewind. As you can probably tell from the photos, I use this camera when traveling and it's a very good size for that. It actually fits inside my jacket pocket very well and it's not a valuable camera, you're not afraid of breaking it or losing it, so that's always a bonus. One minus is the autofocus system because, I mean, it missed sometimes, so you are not always sure will it focus correctly or not. Of course, you can check where it has focused, but it's a little bit annoying to always like check after you've taken a picture like where the focus is it correct or not. And then you have to take one more photo, but at least it gives some confirmation that you have the photo you wanted, that you got it. So would I recommend this camera? Well, if you can find it for a good price, well, definitely try it out. It's quite a fun camera to use. Yeah, the lens is good, the exposure is well, and the focus is mostly right. So I think this is all I have to say about this camera for now. If you have any questions, you can always ask in the comments. If you found the video useful, remember to like it, and you can also subscribe if you want more content like this. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye!